Namaste and good morning, everyone. We'll start our class with the prayers. Please chant along with me. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now 3 times Mahamrutyunjaya mantra. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome everyone. We'll chant the forms of Rama and Dhatu. So first I'll chant one row and you repeat after me, and then we'll do it all together. Ramaha Ramau Ramaha Ramam Ramau Raman Ramena Ramabhyam Ramaihi Ramaya Ramabhyam Ramebhyah Ramat Ramabhyam Ramebhyah Ramasya Ramayoho Ramanam Rame Ramayoho Rameshu. He Rama He Ramau He Ramaha. Now all together. Ramaha Ramau Ramaha Ramam Ramau Raman Ramena Ramabhyam Ramaihi Ramaya Ramabhyam Ramebhyah Ramat Ramabhyam Ramebhyah Ramasya Ramayoho Ramanam Rame Ramayoho Rameshu. He Rama He Ramau He Ramaha. Now Dhatu Rupa, or the verb conjugation forms of the verb. gum. One line at a time. Gacchati, gacchataha, gacchanti. Gacchasi, gacchataha, gachatha. Gacchami, gacchavaha, gacchamaha. Now all together. Gacchati, gacchataha, gacchanti. Gacchasi, gacchataha, gachatha. Gacchami, gacchavaha, gacchamaha. So last time we did the feminine nominative and we did form of Gita as an akaranta feminine, and we saw that we had earlier done Rama, which was akaranta masculine, and Gita, it is akaranta ending in a, Gita. And the forms in many places, they are very similar, but some places they are different. And we saw that how can you derive another form, which is another feminine word ending in akara, in the very similar manner. So like karuna, we did karuna. Then we did another ikaranta, another feminine form, that is ikaranta, long e, and nari. Nari means woman. And we saw that it has even more similarity with akaranta feminine form than akaranta feminine form had with akaranta masculine form. So many of these cases you will find similarity. And in some cases, you will find the same form being repeated. Like in case of Nari, if you look at these three forms, they are repeated actually. Nari bhyam, Nari bhyam, Nari bhyam. And these two forms are repeated. Nari bhya, Nari bhya. These two forms are repeated. Naryaha, Naryaha. Similarly, these two forms are repeated. Naryoho, Naryoho. So this will of course depend upon which case, if you see this word for example, and you would know which case and number being used is from the context. And this is true in most every language where you will have the similar form and you will know from the context what is the meaning. So more you practice, more you would understand and more you would be able to figure out from the context what is the meaning of a given word. Today we'll do the Sandhi again. So Sandhi has these three categories, and if I can, I'll pull it up in the whiteboard. So these three categories of Sandhi, we already saw vowel Sandhi. So vowel Sandhi happens when it is vowel plus vowel. Then it is vowel sandhi. As a rule in Sanskrit, two vowels, when they come together, they undergo some sort of sandhi. Generally, you will not find two vowels coming one after another in Sanskrit. It is possible that after sandhi, like we saw in ayadi sandhi, after sandhi happens, then yakara gets dropped and two vowels seem as if they are together, but that is because a sandhi has already taken place. In visarga sandhi happens when first is visarga, that is the end of the first word, and it follows by either a vowel or consonant. So then it's a visarga sandhi. Visarga can not happen at the start of the word. We saw all the visarga sandhi rules, and in visarga sandhi particularly we found that there are certain examples, certain cases where after sandhi the words remain separated. So just by looking at the words, sometimes it is difficult to see whether sandhi took place or not. But we saw pretty much, so these two sandhis we saw in pretty good detail. And there is a flow chart available. Amit Baba prepared the flow charts for each of the sandhis. As well as in Thomas Egenes' book, there is a table, complete table actually listed there, which shows all the combinations of every vowel to every vowel, then visarga to vowel and consonant. What are the resultant? Today we'll do the Vyanjana sandhi. Vyanjana means consonant. So consonant sandhi happens. So now we basically are left with three cases. So it could be vowel plus consonant, consonant plus vowel, or consonant plus consonant. This particular case, generally speaking, no sandhi takes place, no change. Thing remains as it is. Two words remain as it is. Consonant plus vowel and consonant plus consonant, these two would fall under the consonant sandhi, and they generally result into one word, combined word basically. Except one case, and we'll see what is that exception. So we'll see today consonant sandhi, these two cases. So this is the consonant sandhi. So I have just put this chart, the alphabet, particularly just taken out these 5 by 5 because this is going to be useful. So by now you would be quite familiar, hopefully, with this chart. I'll just increase the size here. So there are some general rules. As I was explaining, vowel plus consonant, no change. There could be some exceptions, and we are not concerned about those exceptions in our class. It's a for beginners class. So in general, that's what holds true. Another rule is Sanskrit word does not end in two or more consonants. So it ends in one consonant, that is very clear many a times, like Raman, Ramat. So that is ending in consonant, but does not end in two consonants. So for example, if I have Raman, it is one consonant. Or even if I have Ramat, again it's one consonant. I could have more than one consonant in the middle, and that is, or in the starting, and that is not uncommon at all. That is quite common. So if I have a word, simple word called Antaha, these two consonants are coming together. That is very common in Sanskrit, to have two consonants, but they do not come at the end of the word. That is what the rule says. That the word itself does not end in two or more consonants. Again, as I said, there could be some exceptions, but those exceptions are beyond the scope of our beginner's course. Then you know that there are so many consonants in Sanskrit, 33 actually. And if I have to consider 33 into 33, the combinations are like close to more than 1000 combinations. So fortunately, that is not the case. It is not that complicated. And the reason is this. In Sanskrit, words end only in these 6 consonants. Again, I'm just mentioning you that there could be some exceptions, but by and large, that is the case. Words end in these consonants only. Kakara, takara, takara, pakara, nakara, makara. You can see very clearly it is this column where the words end, except it doesn't end in cha. So this column where the ending consonant happens in Sanskrit. And these two. So 6 only. So far, whatever words we have studied, they have only ended up in this. And even out of these 3, even out of these 6, these 3 are most common. Takara, nakara, and makara. These 3 are the most common. So that would reduce considerably our potential combinations for Sandhi. Words can start practically from any consonant, but there are certain consonants by which word does not start, like these 3. Generally, the word will not start with these 3 consonants. Then another rule is, first word ends in ma and the follows a consonant, then ma becomes then makara becomes anuswara. That is the rule. And then the word remains separate. So here, two words remain, and that is the exception I was talking about. 2 words remain. So in this case, when the first word ends in makara and the second one starts with a consonant and they come together, makara follows a consonant, then makara becomes anuswara. You might have seen many times that I write, for example, when we do the, so for example, Sandhi, we write Ramam, but in the text, many times you will see the verse is written like this with the dot and basic like here. So this M with dot underneath. So that is the reason why sometimes you will see M dot underneath and M makara as makara versus anuswara. So this is called anuswara. And this is the rule which comes into play. If it is an independent word, then makara remains. But if the word follows a consonant, then it becomes anuswara. And if we look at our Sandhi in Bhagavad Gita, that would be extremely common case actually. So anywhere you see this word anuswara, M with dot under, this is anuswara. These all tvam, So these are all words actually originally with makara, without dot underneath. And because they are following a consonant, here you see they are following the consonant everywhere, they become m dot under, m with dot under. So that's a very simple rule, and that is the only case in consonant sandhi where you have two letters in the resultant word. Otherwise, it becomes one. Then another rule is nakara preceded by a short vowel. And if you remember, short vowels are these four: akara, ikara, ukara, rukara. That means the vowel before nakara, preceded by a short vowel, and following any vowel. That means the first letter of the second word is vowel, then it becomes doubled. So an example of that kind of case is this one. Let me pull this one from here to here. So this is an interesting case actually. So original words is this. So this is the original word. Vishidan idam abravit. This is the word. Now there are two sandhis taking place. So first between idam and abravit. And all it happens, they come together. Because here makara follows by a vowel, not a consonant. You see this rule, makara follows a consonant, then it becomes anuswara. But if it is following a vowel, then it does not become anuswara, but they still come together. So it becomes like one word, like this. And then between these two, nakara preceded by shorta, that is short vowel, and follows another vowel, which may be short or long, it doesn't matter. Only this vowel, the preceding vowel, should be short. Then it becomes doubled, and this becomes one word. So that's how it becomes one word actually. Vishidan nidam abravi. Then we'll discuss another rule, and this is this one. So for this rule to understand, I'll just pull up here. The rule says, if a letter from first column, so you have to see these are the 5 columns. Okay, this 5 by 5 table, these are the 5 columns. If the letter from the first column, that is from this column, follows a vowel or third or fourth column consonants. So this is the ending. First column letter is the ending letter of the first word, that is the first word. And it follows either a vowel or third or fourth column consonants, either of these 10 consonants. Then it changes to the third column letter. That means this will change, this one changed to this, kakara changes to gakara, chakara is not there, like as you can see, words does not end in chakara, so that is not applying. Takara becomes dakara, takara becomes dakara, and pakara becomes bakara. We'll see some examples here. So one example is Vagisha. So if I write here, so the word here is actually I'll write in the transliteration, just a second. Okay, so this is the word here, vak plus ishah, vagisha. So vak ending in kakara, it is a word because words end in only in these consonants. This is fine. Vak is ending in kakara, and it's followed by a vowel, and it's a letter from the first column. You see, actually, except nakara and makara, these are the only 6 consonants which are at the end of the word. So you can pretty much be the safe that the word would be from here. The word would end in first column or just these 2. So word is ending in the first column. It follows a vowel. It is followed by a vowel. Sorry. It is followed by a vowel. E, kara. Then what the rule says is that kakara will change to gakara. So here kakara, which is the changes to gakara, which is the third column letter. So it seems like rules a little bit wordy, but the application is pretty simple. Any of these letters, if they follow vowel or letters from these 2 columns, the first, it will change to corresponding third column letter. Vagisha. Similarly, we know a lot of words actually which are following in this. So Jagat plus Guruhu. You see here Takara follows a third column letter, third or fourth column consonant. Then Takara will change to Dakara. So it will become Jagat Guruhu. Very common we use actually. So it becomes Takara will change to Jagat Guruhu. Then another rule which says is here. If a letter from first column follows any nasal are these letters. These are pronounced with the help of nose. The 5th column letter. These are called nasals. If a letter from first column follows any nasal, it changes into the corresponding nasal letter. So Takara becomes Nakara, for example. And this is also very common examples here. I'll write, so for example, if we have to say so Chit plus Mayaha. You see Takara follows a nasal. Nasal is from this column. Then we are saying this also will become corresponding nasal. Corresponding nasal for Takara is Nakara. If you have a very good understanding of the alphabet, these things should become very simple and intuitive to you. if you don't have the very good understanding of alphabet, then this becomes very difficult rules. So alphabet is absolutely essential if you are trying to understand Sandhi. So please, those of you who have not completely mastered the alphabet, please take some time to master the alphabet completely. Alphabet, anyway you can understand whenever you want to learn any language, alphabet is the first step. So Chit plus Maya become Chinmayaha. So similarly, Vangmayam, we have another word in Gita called Vangmayam. So this is actually, the word is walk plus mayam, and it becomes Vangmayam. So Vangmayam, Vak plus Mayam, it's a nasal, and the corresponding nasal for Kakara is So Vangmayam, like Kakara, the corresponding nasal is this. So these are the rules for consonant sandhi. Also, if you go to our textbook, which we are following, Egenes' book, and you go to lesson 10, so this is lesson 10, and this is the page number 126. Here he has given the sandhi chart for sandhi rules for final takara, nakara, and makara. These are the three consonants. As I said, they are very common at the end of the words. Out of 6, these 3 are most common. And he has given the list of what happens when it is followed by something. So he has given a complete tabular format. I would definitely request you to read all this. He has also given certain examples. Examples are given for different pages. So look at those examples. For Makara, it is very simple. I already told you the rule. Makara, the rule is that if it follows a consonant, it becomes Anuswara, otherwise it remains Makara. And when it becomes Anuswara, 2 words remain. So that is the rule for Makara. For Takara and Nakara, you have to see. So I have already explained a few rules to you for Takara and Makara. Remaining, you can actually look at for individual cases. How are they working out? So there are not so many of them. Just make sure that you understand this table. And this is also one of the things in the homework which I have writing, and you do this first before doing the other homework exercise. So there would be 2 homework exercises, one for Egenes chapter 10, another is doing the sandhis. So if you look at here, I'll just take you one example how some of the things are a little bit not so intuitive here. So this is the case, this is the final letter of the first word, Takara. and this is the initial letter of the second word. So what he's saying is takara, when it follows shakara, you see this letter shakara, then it results into this combination, chakara and chakara. We'll see an example. So here is so this is the letter here, Srimat Shankara. So takara is following shakara, and what is happening here is, it's a very interesting case. This combination takara plus shakara becomes chakara and chakara. So this is a special case. So there are 3 or 4 such special cases where, like in case of nakara, I said it becomes double. So that you have to study that and apply them in the text. So takara and shakara becomes chakara and chakara. This is an individual case with related to this combination only. So this takara, so he has given all this in this table, and please study this table and then you will see those cases. Okay. So now if there are any questions on this particular topic, I'll look into the chat window. So there is a question, could you explain a bit more the table on page 126? I find it difficult to understand read. So I hope now you should be able to. I explained already that these are the 3 final letters and these are the initial letters of the second word, and he has given the examples also. So the letters, basically the table says takara, when it follows gakara, it becomes dakara. So this is the first letter, first follows this, becomes dakara. Shouldn't the rules, there is a question, shouldn't the rule say a letter from the first column is followed by instead of follows? What is the rule here? Letter from the first column follows. Okay, yes, that's correct. Actually, I made a mistake here. So is followed by, sorry. Is followed. We'll correct it in the, so here also it is followed by. So I was just seeing the chat window to see your questions. So when I'm explaining, I thought that was causing the screen to be blocked a little bit. I'm just trying to read the questions which you have sent. And please limit the questions only to the topic at hand right now. Will samsara equal to samsara, the example of anuswara? Yes, that's correct. What do you mean by following a consonant? Does the consonant precede or come after makara? Consonant comes after makara. So makara following a consonants. I should correct it actually. Followed by a consonant. Yeah, so I'll correct that part. Makara followed by a consonant, then makara becomes anuswara. I'm sorry if it caused confusion. The question, is there a difference of pronunciation between makara and anuswara? Not really in the practice. There is very slight difference depending upon which consonant it is following. So if it is follows whichever consonant it follows, it takes the sound of the nasal of that column. So if makara and is followed by, say for example, gakara, then instead of makara, this kind of sound will come. But that pronunciation difference is very subtle actually. Why don't the rules apply to cha? I'm not sure. Why would rule apply to cha? Please clarify your question. The Sandhi rule that applies to Chitrupa Ananda, to Chidrupananda, that's correct actually. So Chitrupa becomes Chidrupa. So we have our monk here, Swami Chidrupananji. So the word is actually so Chitrupa. This is actually the actual word Chitrupa. Because of the Sandhi rules, it becomes Chidrupa. Takara becomes Dakara. There is a question, could you please provide the solutions for the exercises in the book Egenes with IAST in Google Drive? So we would provide, Ben Baba has already worked on it. We will. So what is happening is in Egenes book, some exercises and some solutions are only provided in Devanagari. They are not provided in IAST, the transliteration script. So we will provide that. Example, Srimad Shankar, did we cover the rules for that or is it only in the book? I already showed you in the book and then we covered through the example. I would definitely ask you to go through all the rules which are there in the book on the table. Could you pronounce param with anuswara for M at the end? So at the end, anuswara will not come. Anuswara will only come when it is followed by a consonant. Makara is followed by a consonant, then anuswara would come. So at the end of the word and at the end of the sentence, anuswara will not come. Question is all takara becomes dakara? Not all. Again, if you look at this table here, takara takes the form of jakara in front of jakara and jhakara, lakara in front of lakara. It remains takara in front of kakara. So that you have to see actually. But it doesn't become dakara for all. Paulo Baba has said there is in Shri Rudram there is a word. I am not able to see this word clearly in Roman script. If I can see it in properly written, then I can see. So the question is, does the double J falls in a consonant sandhi rule? Probably, but I have to see the word. What is the rule when makara is followed by a vowel? When makara is followed by a vowel, it remains makara and it becomes one word. They do together combine. So if I cannot see the question, I have to see, so I understand this is the when I'm bringing the question chat box, it's blocking the view. I'll try to see it afterwards if we can do something to fix it. But in order for me to answer your question, I have to open the chat box to read it. But when I am explaining it, I'll make sure that you would be able to see the screen which is relevant. When chakara and chakara come together, do you pronounce both? Yes. So when chakara and chakara come together, you will say Shrimat Shankar. Shrimat Shankar. Shrimat Shankara. So there is a clarification for that. Earlier I asked, rules are generally talking about first column of consonants, but chakara is always excluded. So he is asking why chakara is excluded. I already explained, because chakara does not appear at the end of the first word. At the end of, so the word in Sanskrit does not end in chakara. That's why chakara is not there in the sandhi. Question, are we going to cover rules when second word starts with any vyanjan outside the table shown? The table actually covers all the vyanjan. That's why this table is good. It does not leave any of the consonant outside. There is a question, Baba, then Sanchita becomes Sanchida. Please, I really want to know. No, Sanchita is one word. It's when sandhi happens only when two words to come together. So Sanchita is one word and remains Sanchita. And moreover, it ends in akara. It does not end in takara. So even if it follows another word, it does not become Sanchita. If the word were Sanchit or Jagat, then yes, it could change. There is a question, where is the rule for consonant plus refa? Consonant plus refa. So if you go here, takara is the consonant and it follows refa. Here it becomes dakara. So in the table, takara plus refa, this is the refa, it becomes dakara. So that's the rule here. If the first word ends in takara, how do I know it's Vyanjan Sandhi and not Visarga Sandhi? For Visarga Sandhi to take place, I told you that first word always ends in Visarga, not in takara. So we already discussed it actually. The first words end in Visarga for Visarga Sandhi to take place. If it's ending in consonant, then it's a Vyanjana Sandhi, consonant Sandhi. Is Sanjay and Gita written with an Anuswara? So we see Gita. And here it says Sanjaya Uvacha. It is not written with an Anuswara. It is a nya. This is the palatal nya, nasal sound. Sanjaya. Mangalam. In the word Mangalam, question is here Gakara comes. Is this right? Yes. Mangalam Gakara comes, but not because of the Sandhi rule. Satchit Ananda becomes Satchidananda. That's correct. Satchit Ananda becomes Satchidananda because of this rule. The question, the table doesn't cover if second word starts with Hakara, semi vowel or sibilants. Are we going to learn those? So table does cover that, I hope. So it says Shakara, Shakara, Shakara. The second word start with these as well as Hakara. So table covers all the cases actually. Okay, so these are all the questions I had for the Sandhi rules. So I hope we'll put this slide in the notes, all the rules, and you of course have the table in Egenes' book, which you will refer to, okay, for all the individual combinations. So this is the table on page 126 in lesson 10. I just want to also cover a little bit of a thing here, and that is related to pronouns. So we have covered the nouns and we have covered the adjectives, but we haven't covered pronouns. So I'll just tell you a few pronouns. Saha is he. Sa is she. Tat is that. Aham is I. Tom is you. So these are the most common pronouns in Sanskrit. So these are the third person pronouns, as you can see, he, she, it, or that. And these are the first and second person, I and you. Just like adjectives and nouns, these actually also are a part of the table which we saw, for example, in Rama. So this table, it also exists for all these pronouns. That means it will, if you have to say by me, you will use the third form called Maya. So I'll show you a quick example actually again in Egenes' book. So like this table, for example, for the first person pronoun I. So as you can expect, the first and second person, they do not have gender. So aham will not be in feminine, masculine, or neuter. It is so first and second person pronoun will not have gender. Third person pronoun will have gender. So only the third person pronoun will have gender, but the first and second person will not have gender. So, but this is, remember, even though we in English we do not have any kind of table or a structure because we use the prepositions, but here even for prepositions, even for the pronouns in Sanskrit, you will have the whole table or a structure, and it will go in the same manner. Case and number. Aham means I. Vayam means we, because it's the plural subject. Maya means by me, it's by or with me. Asmabhi, for example, would mean by us. So this table would be there for all the pronouns also. But when you are simply using it as a subject, aham means I. So these are the more common ones. There are other pronouns, for example, interrogative pronouns like who, what, where. There are demonstrative pronouns, this, that, it. So there are a lot of pronouns in Sanskrit, and except these two, everything will have the gender except the first and second person pronoun. Also, the pronouns do not have a vocative case. You do not say hey me. In Sanskrit, we also don't say hey you or hey he. So vocative case is not applicable to pronouns. Also, I want to tell you about a verb called us. It's a special verb. It means to be. And one of the first verbs normally in any language you study is the verb of to be. In English, that simply means is, are, am. These are all the different forms in English of the same verb to be. The actual verb in English also is being, and then it takes the different forms like he is a boy, we are men, I am a boy, I am a girl, like this. In Sanskrit, there are many verbs actually for to be. So in English, we only have one, and then there are different forms. But in some other languages like Spanish and Portuguese, also there are two verbs for to be. Like in there is, for example, ser and estar and ser. These are the in Portuguese and Spanish, these are the two words for be, and there is a slightly different meaning how they are used. In Sanskrit, there are actually many, and but the most common is us, and we'll see the other words. But us actually has, it follows the same paradigm of endings ti, taha, anti, si, thaha, tha, mi, vaha, maha. But there is a slight difference in these two cases, in these two columns, dual and plural. The akara is dropped. So instead of saying astaha, as plus taha, astaha, we just say sta. So asti means he is, asi means you are, asmi means I am. Because the second person and first person, these are the only pronouns. So these are the only words which can be used in the second and first person. Everything else follows third person endings. So most common ones are asti, asi, asmi, the first singular ones, and santi, the third person plural. These are the most commonly used. So this I just wanted to share a little bit with you, the pronouns and the special verb called us. And us is also a verb which is implied. So I don't have to mention, like for example, I can say aham adhyatmananda. I don't have to say aham adhyatmananda asmi. Asmi is implied. In every Sanskrit sentence, the verb is must. It is the central part. But if the verb is of the form to be, it can be omitted. It means it is implied. So I can just say aham adhyatmananda. Or I can say aham adhyatmananda asmi. Both are correct. So now I would just tell you a little bit of a class exercise. So you can do these sandhis. We'll see the solutions later on if you are not able to somehow solve it by yourself after the break. So these are the 7 sandhi. If you have Egenes book with you, you can refer to it, the table. And then I have also this part we can drop right now. This we don't have to worry about. We can do later. But so this one we can do later. So you can do this much, and right now it is 10:04. We'll meet at 10:15. Okay. Thank you. I'll mute myself. Welcome everybody. We'll discuss these sandhis, and then hopefully it will become even clearer to you. So this one, makara is followed by a vowel. The rule is that makara followed by a consonant that becomes anuswara. Otherwise, it combines and becomes one word. So in this case, it simply becomes kimakurvata. Here, makara is actually followed by a consonant. So it would become anuswara. And it will remain, this is the one example where it will remain 2 words. So I'm just looking for an anuswara to it becomes anuswara. Mahatim chamum. Then this one, takara, is followed by a vowel. So takara becomes dakara. If you remember, the rules were takara becomes dakara if the letter from the first column, which takara is followed by a vowel. And then it becomes one word, madarthe. Takara becomes dakara. Same thing will take place here. Exactly the same rule. Takara is followed by a vowel. Tadasmakam. Here takara, so as you can see, most of the times takara would be the most common when consonant sandhi takes place. Takara would be probably the most common consonant which will come at the end of the first word. So here takara is followed by a consonant from the third column. Takara is followed by third or fourth column consonant. And dakara, so this thing should be very clear to you which consonant falls in which row and which column. At least this 5x5 table should be very, you must be able to figure out immediately, oh, this consonant is in this column, this row. So here it is followed by a column in the consonant in the third column, then takara changes to dakara. So here takara will change to dakara. Takara changes to dakara. Here takara follows makara, which is a nasal. Takara, it's the fifth column. So if letter from the first column is followed by any nasal letter in the fifth column, it changes to corresponding nasal letter. So takara will change to nakara. So here takara will change to nakara, sanmatihi. And here kakara followed by a consonant in the fourth column, bhavam. Bhavam is the consonant in the fourth column. Bhavam, and kakara is the first column. It becomes the corresponding third column consonant, gakara. Kakara becomes gakara. So kakara becomes gakara. That's how it is. So if you understand the alphabet very thoroughly, these sandhi rules should not become difficult. I think some people are finding it difficult because of not having complete mastery over the alphabet. If you understand the alphabet, then I do not see there is so much of an issue in understanding the sandhi rules, whether it is vowel or visarga or consonant. I'll just see some of the questions. I think right now this issue of getting the blocked screen was probably fixed. Some of the questions are related to this special verb I talked about, asti, that why it is not santi, like gachanti, or why it is santi. So us is the, so we'll talk about that part later. This is a verb where the stem actually remains the same, us. So here the stem does not become asa, so stem remains the same, us. I told you that not every verb will have the akaranta stem. So in this case, the stem remains us. It does not become asa. Because the stem remains us, some rules change. We cannot apply the exact, even though the endings remain the same, the way those endings are applied to the stem, they actually undergo some change. And that's why you see the forms of this, they look similar to, for example, gam dhatu, but not quite in the same way. There is some difference, like it's asmi, not asmi. So that's the reason actually, that those rules which apply for gam dhatu are slightly different, even though the endings are the same, because here the stem is not akaranta stem. We'll post all the rules in the class notes so that you will have, and plus I also gave you the reference from Egenes' book. There is a question, page 126 has the rules for takara, nakara, makara. Is there some other page for other consonants like kakara? Egenes actually has given those rules in another chapter, and he said those are less commonly used. As I told you, that is the case. Takara, nakara, and makara are most common consonants occurring. So first you master these ones, and then later on you can refer to the rules for other consonants. There is a question, is makara followed by a vowel always joins up and becomes one word? Yes. Only when makara is followed by a consonant, it becomes anuswara and it remains two words. Otherwise, it always becomes one word. In the first exercise, which results in kim akurbata, the result will always be a single word. First word ending in consonant and second word ending in vowel. That's correct. There is a question, when stem is us, what is the root word? In this case, root word is also us and stem is also us. Question, how does it become sanmatihi? So here, the question is related to 6th example, sanmatihi. And I explained you that the rule here says, if a letter from first column is followed by any nasal, that is the letter in the 5th column. So it is sat plus mati. Sat is the letter in the first column and mati is the letter in the 5th column, nasal. Then it follows the corresponding nasal. The change is basically from takara to nakara. Takara becomes nakara. That's how it becomes sanmatihi. there is a question, what is the difference between asti and bhavati? Maybe in the next class I can explain a little bit more. There is another dhatu which the question is about, bhu, which also is the dhatu in the sense of to be. There's a question, is there going to be a test at the end of the course? Test would be for you to actually do all the exercises and submit it to us. That would be basically your test. A test is for you, not for me giving a certificate to you, but you would feel comfortable that whatever you studied, that you really understood. How do you write Tadhama in Devanagari? Okay, I mean, I'll just show you quickly Tadhama in Devanagari. But that, if you know Devanagari, that should be straightforward, hopefully. So that is the word Tadhama, and if I have to write in Devanagari, it is Tadhama. And it becomes in the IAST like this, Tadhama. Okay, so with these questions, there is a question, I was sick for almost 3 weeks and now I'm catching up. I want to make sure I understand everything and I have so many back exercises. I send them after our course finishes. Will you be able to check them nonetheless? We will give it a, definitely we will try. We are not able to check and respond to every single exercise simply because we don't have so many people. Here Ben Baba is helping me to respond to the emails, to read the emails, and most of the responses you are receiving for your emails is from Ben Baba. However, we have limited capacity here considering the class is pretty huge class, but I would still request you to send the exercises. We would try to, and we are always posting the solutions to the exercises. So when we are posting the solutions to exercises, you can check against those solutions to see whether you have done it correctly or not. And if you have any questions after going through the class notes and exercises, those questions you send to us and we will try to reply to those questions. Okay. So with this, I'll just show you the exercises for the home. So this exercise is study lesson 10 from introduction to aging part 1 and do the exercise. As I told you, that there are some exercise and solutions in Egenes book, particularly in lesson 9 and 10 and going forward, which are only in Devanagari. We will post them in IAST, transliteration script. So exercise we will post along with this, and the solution we will post in a solution file. So that way you can look at this. Normally Egenes book always have solutions to the exercise, but this thing you have to remember, most of the Sanskrit material which I have seen, authors always try to graduate you to Devanagari. And therefore I told you that if we go for level 2 course, we will do it in Devanagari, because it is not that one cannot study Sanskrit if one chooses to only in transliteration. It is just that the material which is available in form of books and even on the internet, as you go a little bit higher, most of the material is available in Devanagari, not in IAST script. So if you are preparing to join level 2 course, we haven't yet made a complete plan on how to offer and when to offer, how frequently, but it is in consideration. I would definitely recommend you to learn Devanagari. and I have already posted some links that which give you some books to download to practice Devanagari as well as the website. And then for this course, as I said, we are not making Devanagari as mandatory for the beginners course. There, the IAST is the only requirement, and therefore we would post the exercise and solutions which are only in Devanagari in IAST script also from Thomas Egenes book. Then this is another exercise for homework, and these all the words which are from Bhagavad Gita, you have to do the sandhi. So that's where I put the exercise 30 first, because that exercise you have to do first. First you have to read all those rules from Egenes book, understand those, and then you attempt the exercise 31. So that's why they are in this order. So we'll post this exercise with the IAST script soon after the class. We'll also post the solutions to chapter 9 from Egenes book, which are all in Devanagari. So even if you see, Egenes book is such a primary level book, and yet slowly it takes you, graduates you towards Devanagari script. So that is a trend which we have generally seen, that most of the material in Sanskrit is available in Devanagari script. So with that, I would conclude the class. These exercises will post soon after the class, and we'll do the closing prayers. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, everyone.